comfortable. Make sure they have backup equipment. Make sure that they have insurance that will cover your venue's requirements. Make sure that they can do a walkthrough of your venue to supply adequate equipment. Can your DJ supply ceremony microphones for the officiant, the bride, and the groom? Do they have battery-operated equipment to be out in the field where there is no power? Make sure that they can handle preceding ceremony music, processional and recessional. Announce the grand entrance and entire bridal party. Do you need an experience and not just some guy that's going to play a playlist? Make sure that you hire someone that can get the job done and take care of your every total request. We are Total Request Entertainment. For booking and contact information, call Eleazar Maldonado at 414-366-7102. 414-366-7102. Or visit the website at TotalRequestENT.com.
Let me ask you something. Would you like to build a podcast? And if you have one built, wouldn't you like to get as much exposure for it as possible? Because HiddenHeartRadio.com is plug-in local and national podcasters with the opportunity for more web and radio exposure. With our staff of cameramen and audio experts, we supply the technical tools needed for your podcast to reach a much wider audience. Now, studio set location and access to professionals using professional equipment to film and record your show. And you get to go and upload it wherever you want. But I bet you're wondering how much all this top-notch access will cost you. Well, that's the special part, $60 an hour. That's right. You can access our studio, our staff members, and our equipment for $60 an hour to film and record your podcast. So let me ask you again. Would you like to build a podcast? Good. Call 414-366-7102. That's 414-366-7102 to make an appointment with Eleazar Maldonado to get you started.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Sister Rebecca.
Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the Milwaukee Islamic Dawah Center.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Yamin Talib Muhammad.
My name is Doris White. I've been with the Dawah Center for about 15 years. Okay. Yogurt.
Since 2017, our food pantry program continues to reach to thousands of families and individuals. In 2021, we distributed over 1 million pounds of food and 1,000 individuals.
We've been serving our communities with our pantry.
We have a pantry here Tuesdays and Wednesdays, about 9:30, 10 o'clock.
We were awarded a $30,000 grant to purchase a 27-foot truck, as you see here, 27-footer, as well as a 17-footer over here that we use to provide food services throughout the city of Milwaukee County. With the help of Allah and a great team of volunteers, our pantry continues to combat food insecurity in our community.
Everybody like it. They love it. And not only like it, they love it. A lot of the same people, a lot of new people. And we see a lot of new people when we are on Hampton. That's when we see a lot of new people, but mostly the same people here. Every third Wednesday of the month, they give a big giveaway. We even give twice as what you see today.
The donations that you have given and continue to give us fuel the work that we do. And we can't say thank you enough.
May Allah reward you and your families for your continued support in this life at the next. Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Mubarak.
What you doing still in bed, man? Yo, you need to punch in for that morning shift MKE with Sayer right here on HiddenHeartRadio.com exclusively from 10 to 2 p.m. Check it out, man. You're missing out.
Good morning, all. Good morning, Grand Risings. Man, Assalamu alaikum to all my Muslim brothers and sisters, man. Juma Mubarak. It is Friday. So y'all make sure y'all stay tuned for the 1 o'clock hour when we deem bopping up here. And if you watching right now, man, y'all see the flyer up. You've been following on social media. Y'all seen the flyers and the posts. And y'all know that I have a sister here with us today who has a story to tell. A story of how she took her traumas and pains and turned them into power. So, y'all sit down, take a seat, listen, tune in, got any questions or comments, you can hit the line 414-502-9447, or you can comment in any of the chats. We live on Facebook, we live on Twitch, we are the Post of the City, we live on YouTube, WHHP-TV, and we always live on HiddenHardRadio.com. So make sure you following us on those platforms and all that. So we ain't gonna take all day because I'm quite sure she's anxious to tell her story. So allow me to introduce my sister in Islam, Sister NURA Smith. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Walaikum salam, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah, I'm well. How you doing this morning?
Alhamdulillah.
All right. Now, I titled this segment because we had a couple conversations. And
it's kind of hard for me to hear you.
Is it? Okay, I said, can you hear me better now? Might got to get a little closer to the mic. How I'm coming through to you now? Is that better? Still with me? We might
barely.
Okay, we gonna work it out. Let's try this. We're gonna disconnect the call and call back because we need you to be able to hear me. So let's do that right quick. I'm gonna call you right back.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Just be patient with me. We gotta make sure the sister can hear us and we can hear the sister as well. We live, so sometimes, man, when you broadcasting live, you stand a chance of equipment errors or whatnot.
Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam. How we coming across to you now? You hearing us better?
I can hear you very well.
Okay, good. Now, as I was saying, we're calling this segment Pain into Power. And I did say segment. I know it started off with being an interview, and you wanted to tell your story and the things you're comfortable with sharing, and hopes that any other sister or anybody going through similar traumas can find inspiration in your story, assistance from your resources with turning their pain into power. So, yeah, I decided I'm going to make this a segment. So as more people come forth with their stories of pain to power, they'll see more of these type of interviews. So, know yours is the first of a new segment we're going to start. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So give us a little background on you.
Well, my name is NURA Smith. I am from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I am a Muslim. Alhamdulillah, all praises due to Allah. And today I want to share my truth of my experience with the Muslim community that I once considered myself a part of. I was in a 10-year marriage. In Islam, it's called nikah. Mm-hmm. So it was Islamic, not legally married to a brother, and the relationship had turned very violent, abusive, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I was taught to reach out to the Muslim community, the brothers, when tragedy occurred. Unfortunately, when I did, my cries went unheard. Mm-hmm. Instead of being assisted with help for me and my children for our safety, because at this point I did fear for our safety, and I made it clear to the leadership and the community that I was a part of. Instead of them assisting me, they assisted the abuser and helped him further abuse us.
Continue.
So they assisted him. He was on probation at the time. I called out to the director of the community that I was part of and asked for assistance from the brothers because he had broken into my home. Instead of him sending someone out to help, he helped the brother by taking him to the probation officer, saying that this did never happen. It never occurred.
Oh, wow.
I was banned from the Muslim community that I was a part of because of them believing the abuser over me. I believe it was all motivated by money. The abuser promised them my home that I owned and had them to believe that they were going to benefit off of it if they went against me. So the community decided to go to court against me getting a restraining order against my abuser. I finally did get the restraining order, but it was no help from the Muslim community. During my 10 years of this abusive relationship, I repeatedly was sent back to my abuser. I let them know that it was abusive. I let them know that he was unfaithful. I had proof of these things. I was told by the sheikh of the community that I went to that I was too old to get another husband, so just deal with it and pray. I was told and made to believe it was part of the religion, which now I know is not part of the religion, from reading. And I encourage women, read, please read, understand the religion for yourself so that you don't rely on anybody else to lead you in the wrong direction. The prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, the first thing the angel Jibril ordered him to do was Iqra. It means read. We need to read. The religion is perfect. The people are not. We have to study this book for ourselves so that in the future this can hopefully be avoided through knowledge. I did not. I believed what the leadership told me, and I went with whatever it was that they said. If they said that I was gonna go to hell if I didn't work it out with this abuser, well, I love Allah. I've always loved Allah, and I didn't want to go to hell. So I continued to allow the abuse to continue year after year. My cries went unheard. I finally got the courage to walk away, and that's when the whole community turned against me. The sisters formed a group with one of the foreign sisters being the leader of the group, where they shunned me and my children. It was very painful. The encouragement that I have for any woman who has been through this or is currently going through this, do not give up your faith. The religion is perfect. The people are not.
Now, for, you got people that's listening and somebody in their head is like, how you just, if it's abusive, this situation, why you going back? Help us understand what was going on with you, and why you would continue to go back at the advice of others, or even without their advice, what your reasons for going back?
I was afraid of my abuser. He had guns. He was part of a gang. His family was into much illegal activities and made it very clear that their family slogan is, if you F with us, you stuck with us. And I mean, we're talking about some real dangerous people. Wow. I had to be very smart on how I moved because of the danger that was around me. it wasn't just his family that went against me. It was my own family and the Muslim community. I had nowhere to go. Nobody would help me and 3 little kids. I was left for dead. That's what it seemed like they wanted for me. Everybody shut me out. So out of fear and not having anybody to turn to, I stayed, believing that was the only situation at the time that I could, the only option I had at the time was to stay in that situation. I felt at that time I didn't have anyone and nobody would believe me.
Yeah. And that seems to be like a typical thing with these type of relationships, man, when women in general.
Can you say that again, please?
I said this seems to be a typical type of situation with women in these abusive relationships, like they reasons for not leaving out of fear, no support, and things like that. So we don't want to stay on the trauma too long, so we gonna move on from that. Let's talk about how you got out of the situation.
How I got out?
Yes.
Well, my suggestion to everybody who's listening, women or men, when you are in a situation where you feel like you have been defeated, that's when you pray even more. My faith went from a 5 to a 10 overnight. I relied on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than I had in my entire life. And let me tell you, He will always, always stand on the one side of the one who is right. He gave me the strength and the courage to hire non-Muslims to get the home that I owned at the time, prepared for me to move, because our lives were in danger, and I was awarded the restraining order. Yeah. All praise due to Allah.
What was that? Did you have like you said, this was a 10-year relationship. How many of those years were good? Like, at what point did it turn bad? And when it turned bad, at what point did you decide to start planning your escape?
About the last 3 years of the relationship, I knew it was time to get out. I knew the women who he was sleeping with because he would come home and tell me about it. He would call the Muslim women who he was sleeping with his Muslim whores. The street women, he just would put it in my face, praying to get a reaction out of me so that I would do something that would make me look crazy and validate what he was doing to me. The children being abused was my breaking point. I could take
now,
as much as I could take.
One second, because we do want to make certain things clear to people who listening. When we speak of abuse, what type of abuse are we talking about? Physical abuse, mental abuse, like where
the abuse?
Yes.
Physical. He was with them physically.
Okay. And how are they dealing with that?
How are the children doing?
Yeah. When all these things was going on, what were
we are all in trauma therapy right now, and the children are adjusting well. I have moved away from Milwaukee into a pleasant environment. We have therapy going on. I encourage anyone who is in or coming out of an abusive relationship. Therapy really did help me tremendously on my road to recovery. Because when I didn't have anybody else, I could look forward to talking to my therapist, and he gave me different ways to look at things. So instead of going into a depression, I went into fight mode because I did have therapy to rely on for me and my children, and it gave me hope. It really did. And it continues to give me hope. We are still currently in therapy. And it's a beautiful thing. It gives you a different way to look at your situation and a different way to approach it. And it has worked tremendously for me and the kids in a beneficial way.
Yeah. Now, back to your escape plan when you started putting that together. Like, you already said you had no assistance from the community, no resources. I'm a part of a group called ComForce, and inside their group, they also have a group that does extractions, like safety extractions for domestic situations where it's a abusive man, woman, whoever being abused, where they safely bring a couple people through there and they safely come up with a plan to get them out. Typically they try to do it when the abuser is not around, be them at work or wherever they gone for a while, where they make it easy to take flight. Was a situation like that for you, even without the help? Did you have to like plot and plan and wait for him to go somewhere?
I did a lot of plot.
Go ahead.
I would wait because he loved to be in the street with other women and doing other things. I utilized that for my benefit. That's when I would pack up things. That's when I started saving money. That's when I started looking for other places to move to when he wasn't around. And I didn't complain about anything that he did. So he was open.
They say when the woman stopped complaining, you know something.
I stopped and I started plotting.
That's usually the formula. The way I hear it is like, man, they stop with the complaining, just let whatever be, and slowly but surely make that move out the door. Like they was gone, really. Go ahead.
I was mentally gone from the relationship 3 years before it ended. Right. I was out. I had mentally exited the building. But I was physically there, and I needed to focus on getting out with me and my kids being alive.
Right.
This brother was dangerous. So with him just being so disrespectful and staying out in the streets, I started saving my money. I started looking up properties and formulating how we were going to get away, different school districts for the children. We were in therapy at this time. So I was in therapy before I left, and I continued to be in therapy. But it gave me a purpose, so to speak, something to look forward to, because I knew there was going to be light at the end of the tunnel. So even though all of this was going on around me in my mind, my escape was keeping me fueled, with ambition to keep moving, to keep going forward. And my faith, I have to let you know, my faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is tripled in this time. And I have to say again, my truth, the religion is perfect. The people are not. My faith is really what brought me through. My belief that if I steadfast on my deen, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would see me out of this safely. And he did. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Now, how was, like you said, you left 3 years ago. Man, how did it not, you left 3 years before the end. How in those 3 years, how did it not turn into like a burning bed situation? You know what I mean? Like you see a lot of times where the person being abused, when they get fed up, hey, they flip it. Be them old hot grits and maple syrup. Or whatever they choose.
It was some times where those buttons were pressed, but I had a person who was addicted to sex. So he was so focused on being with women and men, and, you know, that's his sexual preference, to be with both, that he wasn't really paying attention to me. And when he did lash out, I just became very silent and withdrawn and kind of just let him, you know, play himself out of my life, so to speak. Let him just do whatever he wanted to do. And was it painful? It's extremely painful, because you're watching what you thought you were building a future with go up in smoke. But at the same time, you have to realize if something is for you, it won't hurt you. It will only make you better. But there were times that he did some very evil, spiteful stuff. He was telling me the women he was sleeping with. He was telling me the Muslim women he was sleeping with. I knew the Muslim brother he was having intimacy with. So there was times that I wanted to pew, but I had to stay strong for my children.
Yeah.
I had to. I couldn't let them down. Me doing something to him, from him hurting me, landing me in jail, would have meant my children being without me. And I could not allow that to happen. That would have meant he won. That's what he wanted. He wanted me to lose my mind. That's why he would antagonize me about all of his sex partners, so that I would lose my mind, so that he could get a reaction out of me. I wasn't going to let the devil win, and I didn't.
Alhamdulillah. Now, you said you started your plan. You started researching, looking for homes and things like that. Now, you didn't just turn that into finding a new place to live. You turned that into something totally different. Tell us about it.
I went on a mission. When the police officer came and told me, we think you should leave, this man, in our opinion, is very dangerous, I turned pain into power. This is exactly what I told the officer. Anything that comes through the chimney, the windows, or the doors will get shot. And because I've been through so much trauma, they might get chopped into. I'm tired, and I don't tire easily. I hired some non-Muslim men to come in and get that house up to par so that I could get top dollar for it. Pain turned into power, because I took my power back. I was no longer afraid of anything. They had to be afraid of me at this point.
I feel that.
And I remodeled my home, got the top dollar for it, and bought another home out of Milwaukee for the safety of me and my children. I relied completely and totally on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then, as I do today, wholeheartedly. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought me out of the depths of hell. And I feel like he gave me a brand new life. A brand new life. So my power overrode my pain, because I was destined for greatness in my belief.
Yeah. Now, typically, you know, we hear a lot about domestic violence and abusive relationships and those forms of trauma, but we don't typically get to hear it or get inside that in the Muslim community, especially if you're an outsider. You know what I mean? Why so is that? Like, most of the things that's going on, we won't hear about them. You know, the fear that is put into the women from the higher ups in the Islamic community, the fear that they'll have something done to you. That was my fear. By exposing the imperfected sickness that goes on and that's allowed, the abuse that's allowed to go on to women, if you expose them, there were higher up Muslims who told me, ma'am, sheikh, that I would have to
be scared for my life. And right now, I should be scared for my life. I fear nothing but Allah. I am a Muslim. I was born a Muslim and I will die a Muslim. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intends for me to die, for me telling my truth about what went on in the Muslim community that I was once a part of, then so be it. My intention is to help any sister who is out there who don't have a voice, who is under this same illusion that we are to rely on men who continuously send us back to the abuser. That was my situation. And I pray to help anybody who is in that situation. It is wrong. It is not part of Islam. Islam is totally opposite. If a woman is being abused, the marriage, the akula is instantly the separation. When I was granted my akula with this situation, the sheikh and the director was encouraging me to go back to him after they had the evidence that this brother had been abusing me and the children.
Wow.
I just refused to do it.
Good for
I
you.
refused to do it.
Yeah. Now, do you think that you spoke about this person being dangerous, come from a dangerous family? Do you think that shedded any influence on the community for staying out of y'all situation? Like, did others know of this and decided it just is too much? I don't want to get involved in that. Let the police handle it, like, or what?
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. It was because their dislike for me, their hatred for me as a person. I've always been outspoken, and these are men, the leaders who I'm telling you about, like for women to bow down, treat them like they're Allah, and I would not. Allah is Allah, and that's who I bow down to. I think that they took a joy and a pleasure out of watching him do pain to me. And the reason I say is the director bragged about taking him to the probation officer and saying that this was not true. So the probation officer, I didn't get any help with the probation officer because the Islamic community was backing him up, saying that something was wrong with me. So when I went down there and gave the evidence to the probation officer that I was being gang stalked, she immediately pulled up all of my social media pages and said, which page are they gang stalking you on? Letting me know she was gang stalking me as well. I got no help from her either.
Wow.
This thing had to go all the way to court in order for me to get a restraining order, because when I say I had nobody, brother, I had nobody. Nobody would help me and the kids. They all was waiting for my demise. But Allah had a different plan. Allah says they plan, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of planners. MashaAllah. And he had a different plan for me.
Allah.
So no, they weren't fearful of him. They wanted to see something very bad. They encouraged it and they helped them in hurting me.
Wow. So once you made it to the court process and presented your evidence to the judge, things of such, the judge granted you everything needed. So that would indicate to someone that, man, whatever you brought to the courts was right on point. So after you brought all that to the courts and was granted the restraining order and the court sided with you, did anybody then who was against you then come back and apologize? They had the wrong view on the situation, something?
Never. I was still banned from the mosque, the place that I considered home. No one apologized. No one reached out to help me. The Muslim brothers who I did reach out to for assistance, I was denied. No, to this day, nobody has apologized, even though I won my case. I proved my case in court. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think they ever will. But I can't worry about that, because when you wrong a person, if you don't ask for their forgiveness, you have to deal with the punishment and the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't wish any bad on them. I forgive them all. But they have to ask for my forgiveness in order to be in Allah's good graces. And if they don't, well, then they can wait for the punishment, because it's definitely coming.
Yeah, that is a fact. That is a fact. Go ahead.
I just pray that this allows women to come forth. This has been going on in the community that I was a part of for the whole 16 years that I was here. The Muslim women being treated like prostitutes, tossed and turned around, it being condoned and allowed to go on by the higher ups, the sheikh, the director. We only had one good imam, and they got rid of him, but he was the best thing the Dawah Center, in my personal opinion, ever saw, because he was willing to bring about change. And he's no longer the imam there. So I can't say one brother was. I won't mention his name. But may Allah bless and reward him with the best in this life and in the hereafter, because he was the truth. That brother was the truth. And unfortunately, he no longer is the imam down there, but he was the best thing that ever happened to that place, in my opinion. The rest of them, they hide behind things to make themselves look good so that the truth won't come out. Well, the truth is out. What I am telling you is the truth of what actually happened to me, in hopes that it stopped. That I was the last one that got the cold shoulder. That I was the last one who had to cry over my Muslim community completely abandoning me.
All right. Wow. Man, that's deep. That's real deep. I gotta admit I'm shocked, especially being that I too am from the community. Man, that all this was going on. Wow. That's all I can say is wow. I'm gonna allow you out the situation. You're doing better.
Alhamdulillah.
But as I hear it and just listen to it, and all I can say is wow, astaghfirullah. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It really is.
That's why I have to put emphasis on the religion is perfect. The people are not. We have to educate ourselves. We have to.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
The angel Jibril first order to Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, was Iqra. It means read. Read in the name of your Lord. It wasn't until I started studying for myself that I saw that the leadership that I was following under was misguiding me, and it was heartbreaking and devastating. But I have to take some of the blame because I wouldn't open up the book for myself and educate myself on my rights. I was listening to them tell me, at your age, you have to go back to the abuser. Nobody else is going to want you. And that was another form of abuse. Now that I'm understanding Islam in its entirety and how beautiful it is and how much against it is of abuse of women and children, I was being abused by the leadership as well. So I was living with an abuser and I was following an abuser. That's double jeopardy. We need to stop. We have to do better. We will be held accountable for this on the day of Yom Kippur. These brothers are misleading these sisters, and they're prideful of it. Like I told you, the director was prideful to tell me that he was going against me and going along with the abuser down to the probation officer. And, you know, he was very proud to be going against a Muslim woman. It made him happy.
Astaghfirullah.
We have to do better. The wrath of Allah, it's real. The punishment of Allah is real.
So when
they will all have to pay.
As you were going through this, I'm assuming you reached out, spoke with, like you already said, you were speaking with administration. Did you confide in any other sisters, or did any other sisters come to you like, man, stay strong, we know what you're going through, anything?
No. They formed a cult, and I'm going to call it a cult. They had a African sister who was the leader of it, and they all followed behind her like she was Allah. And she had formed a group that also participated in gang stalking me. I'm still gang stalked on social media. I'm sure some of the same people. So she started a group where they would gang stalk me, and I would post something and they would say, you know, belittling things. So the sisters were just as bad as the brothers. Remember, he told me that he was sleeping with a lot of them. He called them his Muslim whores. So a lot of them wanted me out of the picture anyway because they wanted to be with him, not knowing that I didn't want him. I would have been more than happy to deliver him on the front doorstep. The torture me and the kids went through for all those years. So they thought they were really doing something. So no, there were no sisters who came to assist me at all.
So it's
when I say the whole community turned their back, they turned their back.
That sounds like your biggest support system, your biggest support came from your therapist.
Yes. My therapist, there was a point in time that I didn't want to be on this earth anymore because I went to my Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I said, if this is it, how am I supposed to take care of me and my kids when I have no one? Everyone has turned their back on me. And Allah showed me, you got me. You always had me. And you will always have me. And I don't want to start crying, but if it wasn't for my faith, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I would have gave up. And my therapist telling me, he's not even Muslim. He said, pray to that God, the one that makes you happy. And I started praying to that God, the one that makes me happy. And my life changed. It changed for the better. I don't want to cry, but it is emotional. But I want people to know anything is possible when you have faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He can bring you through the hardest times. I'm a true believer. He did it for me, and he can do it for anyone.
Yeah.
Yes, it was painful. Yes, it hurt. Yes, you can make it. I promise you can. Keep going. Keep believing. Keep praying. Don't worry about the people who closed the door. Allah will open new ones. Don't worry about the people who don't want to be there anymore. Allah will bring good ones. See, everything that Allah removed, He replaced with something better. That's Allah's promise. That brother asked me to give up Islam. I told him, you can kill me. I'm going to still say, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. Allah promised his slaves, if you give up something for me, I will replace it with unimaginable things. I am a living witness. This is true. Believe in your Lord, not in the people.
Now, you did all that, and in the mix of that, you was taking care of your business. You was working, getting your tools together, and you bought that first house. Tell us about it.
Getting the house together, the one that I sold.
Tell us about the purchasing of the first house. Like, that was all in with the exit plan. So tell us about that. How did you go about purchasing that house, keeping it on the low, and making that move?
It's kind of easy when you're with a sex addict because that's their main focus. So while he was chasing women and men, I was chasing my dreams. I was saving up the money, looking for homes, and I was talking to a realtor. And the realtor and I formulated what I would like to call the dream team, and they truly were a dream. They came in and in the midst of everything, would take me to look for places and help me to sell the home that I was in and purchase the home that I'm currently living in now. So that was the new and great people who came into my life, because these people came in. Of course, I had to let them know what was going on because it was a dangerous situation. None of these brothers cared, and none of them were Muslims. But they assisted me and the children and was concerned first and foremost about our safety and making sure that we were undetected in our efforts to get out. So we formulated what I like to call the dream team. And it was just a lot of people making sure it looked like it wasn't happening when it was. I can say that.
So you did a lot of packing when it was construction going on.
Yeah.
Right? We got to redo this room. We got to redo this area in the house. We need to pack all this stuff up. We just gonna put it in storage, get it out the way, put it over there, get this
exactly,
done.
exactly. And then making it seem like it was all done for him. Like I'm doing this to better you, So, that kept me going as well, knowing that it was going to be light at the end of the tunnel. That I had a team of people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala assigned to me. And again, they were non-Muslims, but I will refer to them as the dream team, who came in. And when I say they were working behind the scenes to make sure things went smooth, they were working behind the scenes. Their main objective was me and my kids getting out of there safe and unharmed. And I will always be forever grateful to them.
Alhamdulillah. That's what's up. Now, you're planning, you was telling me about, you're going to write a book.
Yes.
Tell us about this book.
The name of the book, it's about this truth that I'm telling now. And the book will be titled Smartest One in the Room, because everybody thought they were playing me, but Allah was showing me all the players and how to navigate in between. So in this book, I will be sharing how I was able to do that. And pretty much demonic people will show you who they are. All you have to do is pay close attention to what they're saying. And this book is to inspire people, men, women, children, whoever takes inspiration from my truth is what I desire. How I was able to navigate out of the system in more detail. It will entail the abuse in detail, what I was going through, what my mind frame was, how did I get out of that mind frame? Because for a while, I stayed in a state of depression, as any woman would. You with somebody who's with everybody, and you're afraid, but you don't know how to get out. The book will go into more detail of how I got out of that fear, that painful mind frame, into that powerful mind frame to get me to the point where I said, you know what, I'm going to get up and I'm going to get out, but I'm going to do it very carefully. I'm going to do it so it's undetected what I'm doing. How I was able to process that with all the odds against me, because again, this wasn't just the Muslim community that totally abandoned me. My family totally abandoned me and went against me. So I had nobody. It was Allah first, my therapist, and a group of non-Muslim men that helped me get out of this situation I was in. There was no Muslims involved in this at all. And that's sad to say, because I am a Muslim and I'm happy to be a Muslim. And my intention is to die a Muslim. But just to let people know that you might have to get a little bit uncomfortable being a single Muslim woman, relying on all these non-Muslim men to help me. That was hard. That was a very hard process. But I was in a position where I had no one. There was no way to turn.
Tell us a little bit about that, because that was going to be my next question for you. Because typically Muslim women have very limited interaction with non-Muslim men like that. So for you to have to shed that aspect about you and be willing to let these men come around you, enter your home and things like that, how was that for you mentally?
I'm not going to lie, I prayed, and I begged Allah to give me the answer, because Allah knew. I basically went to Allah and said, I have no one. No one is willing to assist me. And Allah knew. I called all the Muslim handymen, the mover Muslims. They were all told by the higher-ups of our community to not assist me. So no Muslim. I contacted every Muslim brother I had information to call. They all denied me. And I had no resources. No one would assist me. No Muslims. I had to move. The judge wanted me to move. The district attorney, I had a whole crew that told me, this man will kill you. And if he won't kill you, he will set you up to be killed. We need you to move immediately. They were pushing me. You got to go. Your life depends on it. Just go. And I had no one. In that situation, and I'm not sure what I'm saying is true, I had to rely on somebody. The non-Muslims came through. I had no one.
Yeah.
I had no one. So I had to turn and rely on non-Muslims. The Muslims denied me anything. And I reached out to everybody. Women, men, denied. All Muslims denied. Denied any support, anything. Denied. Remember, I told you the African Muslim sister, she was leading the women, and they were treating her like she was Allah. So whatever she commanded them to do, they did. So they were all under her, whatever she believes in, because at this point, it's hard for me to even say that they are Muslims, but I don't want to say they're not Muslims. They definitely weren't acting like Muslims. According to our religion, when a woman and children are in need, they were supposed to assist me. Instead, one of the sisters, I still have the text messages from her, very arrogantly told me to be careful because soon I was going to be dead. That's the leader, the African woman.
Wow.
So she was trying to instill fear in me. I believe in that situation, I didn't have a choice. I had to move. My life was in danger. My children's life was in danger. And I did what I had to do. These men were very respectful. These men, I believe, to this day, showed and did have my best interests at heart and made sure everything was done safely and quickly.
Now,
So I didn't have a choice. To answer your question, I was put in a predicament where I did not have any other choice.
right. Now, my last question for you: How did you stay fast in your faith? Like, with all that against you, your community, you feeling like abandoning you. How was that for you to stay there? Did you feel like you didn't want to be Muslim anymore or anything like that? You know, you see a lot of these different videos with people and their reasons or why they revert or whatnot. But in this process, you didn't say, man, to hell with them, I'm finna go to church. You know what I mean?
You know what, brother? I can tell you, I love Allah. And I always have loved Allah, even when I did wrong, even when I was a partying Muslim, even when I was a drinking Muslim, even when I was a smoking weed Muslim. I never, ever stopped loving Allah. I knew in the relationship that I was in, he didn't pray, and he didn't allow us to pray. I always wanted to pray, but by missing so many prayers, you get further and further away from Allah.
Yes.
So all of the evils are able to come in and take over. With the devil being gone, believe it or not, my faith got even stronger. Remember, I started reading for myself, which opened up my heart in a way that it had never been opened before.
Right.
I always loved Allah. I fell head over heels in love with Allah for when I started studying for myself. So I went from not praying at all to making all of my prayers, plus the sunnah, waking up for tahajjud. And through all that, Allah gave me more strength and more strength and more strength. Even the dream team, even though they weren't Muslims, as we were going through the process of getting out of there, one of the members said, it got to be God doing this. It's going too smooth. It was Allah.
Yeah.
So I was in a situation where I wasn't. He hated when I fast. During Ramadan, when I would fast, he would do more evil deeds, act more wicked, touch me when I prayed. So with him being out of the picture, I was able to go to my true love, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with no interruptions. I became stronger in my deen in every way. I did.
Allah.
And I continue to grow, and I continue to pray, and I continue to read my Quran, and I continue and will always continue to rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all of my needs, because he has shown me that through him I can do anything. I'd rather have Allah and have no one in this world than to have everybody in this world and not have Allah.
Allahu Akbar. You have one, man, you got a heck of a story, sister, and I'm glad you made it through it and on the other side of it. And that's not the end of it. You know what I mean? You got a lot going on, and we will have you back on the show again to talk about how
Inshallah.
you turn that dollar home into a $500,000 home.
I'll be more than excited to get on and share the information and give the locations of where I did my transactions and how they went so smoothly, hoping to enrich someone else.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I'm going to let you go. Get yourself back together. I know that was a lot to release. Probably want to go make you a couple of rakats right now.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So, with that being said, we appreciate you sharing your story with us. You got an open invitation to come back on the show. We definitely keep our eye out for the book. We'll be talking to you again soon. about the real estate. And checking back up with you on your mental. We got to do that more often with each other, man.
Yes, definitely. We do. That's Islam.
We ask people how they doing, but typically it's like saying hi. We don't really care. We just going through the motions of the conversation. How you doing? I'm all right. Both of us lying.
Yes.
So we definitely be checking up on you again, and as you find more resources to help with these situations, definitely share those with us so that we can get those out to other people in the community and listeners, so that they can get out their situations and turn their pain into power.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. So with that being said, you enjoy the rest of your day. Juma Mubarak.
You as well.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
All right, y'all. I'm going to get y'all over to the music as I set up for my next guest. Y'all just be cool for a minute. I'll be right back.
Make sure you tune in to the morning shift.
Make sure you tune in 10 a.m.
Monday
to
through
11
Friday,
a.m.
10 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here on HitHardRadio.com. You can also watch on
and
Facebook
catch out my
on the
main
Post
man
of the City
Sayer
page.
on the morning shift.
Wake your ass